Good morning, everybody. Got your coffee? I got mine. So, listen, before I get started, I have some people that I want to say thank you to. I want to say thank you, Ernest, again. And thank you, Daryl, again. And thank you, Lynetta, again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for just making my life easier and making it easier for me to help people and just be better. Thank you. I appreciate you. The weather here in Columbia, South Carolina is giving hurricane conditions. My neighbor across the street, he was like the last person on this street to get the tree removed from his yard, a down tree removed from his property when Hurricane Helene came through. And he got another tree down. It was really, really windy last night. But then when I went to go open up the pantry, it was 62, kind of mild. I said, oh, looks like it might be a nice day to get out and garden and do some things. By the time I came back home, just that quick to drop down off, people were pulling over, putting on their hazards. The sky just got really, really dark outside. It opened up and you literally couldn't see where you were driving down the road. I managed though. I'm here. But anyway, let me tell you, did you all see that GoFundMe that the father of those two children who froze to death? The reason why this story has become so big is because it is shining a light on the conditions that a lot of Americans are forced to live in because no one can afford housing. I'm not saying no one can afford housing. Housing has just gotten so expensive. And, they say, I believe that they say that you shouldn't be spending any more than 30% of your income on housing. And a lot of Americans spend a lot more than that on housing. And then when you're talking about first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit, 3 times the rent, you have to make 3 times the amount of the rent, no evictions, and people get evicted because because they can't afford the rent. And you have to have a certain credit score. You have to have all these qualifying factors. And some people can actually afford rent, but they can't qualify for the apartment because they don't meet all of those qualifying factors. It's a mess. It really is. But the daddy made a GoFundMe. The daddy, who clearly did not give an AF about those kids, made a GoFundMe. If you didn't know better, it came off very touching. It raised almost $400 before he shut it down. And he shut it down because people dragged him to hell. And they should have. Because how dare he? He clearly didn't care. And I'm going to say it. He comes across like that type of guy, that's glad that he doesn't have to deal with those kids anymore. He doesn't have to deal with the financial aspects of being a father to those 2 kids anymore. He don't have to deal with her anymore. He doesn't have that responsibility. He doesn't have to worry about going to jail for child support. That is until he goes and, repeats his cycle. Dare I say it? I said it. And they found his girlfriend's social media, and they had this really nice Valentine's Day. And I saw the girlfriend, and let me tell you, people are dragging her to hell too, because they're like, sister, how could you be with a man like that clearly didn't have, care about his kids? I'm going to tell you something. When I was single, I didn't date men who had children. It took one time for a baby mama to flip the fuck out on me, and I was like, this is not for me. I do not want this smoke. When I tell you the way I pulled off when that baby mama showed up, honey, on the scene and flipped out, the way I pulled off on that drama, he was calling after me, shouting after me, ringing my phone. This is not for me. And I felt, and after that I said, no more men with small kids, no more. And I felt okay making that decision for myself because I didn't involve my kids in my dating, shenanigans. I didn't. I just didn't. And I did that, as a way to keep them safe. I was mama when I was at home, and then I would always, either have my mother or my favorite aunt or my bestie babysit my kids, and then I went and did what I did. That's just what worked for me. But no, I remember one time dating another guy, and his baby mama, she was calling him and calling him and calling him, and I was like, well, why aren't you? He was like, and I remember him saying, she can wait. Them kids got what they need. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I dumped him too. Because it's just a turnoff for me, for a man to not take care of his kids. And I don't understand how women can involve themselves with men who don't take care of their children. But you know what? You have to kind of dig a little bit deeper. And I looked at sis. I did. And you could tell that he's a Pookie. You know what I'm saying? He's a Pookie. He's that man that's gonna, once his situation becomes uncomfortable with one woman, he's gonna move on to another woman. You could tell he's like that kind of bum, And right now he's got this woman, and I guarantee you, the reason why she's in it is because her self-esteem is really low. And I don't want to say that just because she's a big girl, her self-esteem is low. Or just because she's a dark girl, her self-esteem is low. Being fat doesn't necessarily mean we have a low self-esteem. And being black, the darker the skin, I'm sorry, that's just a gift to me. I think blackness is beautiful. But because of the way society treats fat women and black women and dark women, I can see, especially if you have not been brought up in an environment that is conducive to unconditional love, you've received unconditional love, and is conducive to you being able to love your authentic self, I can see where you would struggle with what society says about you versus how you've been allowed to think and feel about yourself. So I see how sis might have got there. She definitely taking care of him, and that's definitely why he's there. And so, I don't know. I think that it was probably lonely for her. And women with low self-esteem will do things like that when they are lonely. I have had girlfriends, cousins, aunts. I remember one time I had a cousin. She's not a big girl. In fact, she's very petite. But I remember one time she cooked dinner for this guy. And after dinner, he had to leave. And I remember that his name was Terry. And the reason why I remember that his name was Terry was because my cousin, this is the same cousin I told you about the apartment, the house. Same cousin. She jumped on this man's back from when he got up to leave, tried to leave. She put her hands around his neck and begged him, got on his back and begged him to stay. And I had never been so disgusted and shocked in my life. There are women who need to that degree. And I think that what we don't want to be doing is blaming her for him being a deadbeat. I don't think we should be blaming her for that. Whatever her issues are her issues. Sis gonna have to go into therapy and work on that. Hopefully she'll get around to doing that work, because there really is somebody for everybody, and when we have not experienced unconditional love, and when we, it can set, especially women, it can set you up for taking any old kind of piece of man. It's the truth. And I can honestly say that even in the job that my parents did on me, fortunately for me, that ain't never been me. And I am very grateful. But I have had girlfriends and I have had family members and I have seen it. And I have watched how they got there. The things that have happened in their lives. And and girlfriend probably just taking her shot at happiness. She probably ain't never had no man. He didn't probably love bomb that girl. You know how they do. They love bomb you. They said that he went to the casino and won $500. He probably took that $500. He's the type of guy that would take that $500 and invest it in a new situation. Like, I got $500 to really impress this woman to the point where she let me live with her, she feed me, and she clothe me for as long as, I can run out that clock. Y'all know how they do. Y'all know how they do. Y'all know how they do. And so, with that being said, we have to pour into our sons and daughters. Our daughters, we have to stop taking and robbing them of their childhood and making them adultify them before we should, giving them responsibilities that we shouldn't be giving to children, making them feel like that they have to have somebody to take care of all the time. We have to stop making them primary babysitters when we are not there. We have to stop forcing them to do all the things that we don't want to do or are too tired to do. Because they didn't ask to be here either. And our sons, we have to definitely raise them to understand that no man sits back and lets a woman take care of him. No man. That I don't think that we can define manhood for any man or womanhood for any woman. But we can put the idea, we do start to put the ideas of what manhood and what womanhood is in our children. And I think that we need to start redefining that, because no real man is going to lay up with a woman and let her bear the brunt of taking care of him. And we need to raise our sons to be partners. And we need to raise our daughters to find partners who are actual partners that come to them whole. And that we shouldn't be building, relationships with men shouldn't be like a build a bear, build a man type situation. That if that man ain't whole, he ain't ready. And vice versa. And I just think that where our little black children are concerned, we need to do a lot better than that. And maybe we can cut down on all these children being born into conditions where they already have so many strikes against them because they are not being parented by two people who are present. That is all that I have for today. If you'd like to support the platform, I'll leave my Cash App and Venmo in the comments. Y'all be righteous. Do something nice for somebody. It'll make you feel good. It really will. Don't be nobody's fool, but help here and there when you can. Be a blessing, without hurting yourself. Have a good one.